Mother, tell your children not to walk my way.
Hello everybody, and this isn't gonna be necessarily a review of Turning Point, because I don't feel like actually doing a review of this piece of garbage. Well, I shouldn't call it a piece of garbage. This was an okay pay-per-view, but I knew after watching Man Up that I shouldn't watch this pay-per-view. I just knew it because I wasn't gonna like it, and I didn't feel like TNA was going to deliver, and they didn't deliver. Part of it wasn't their fault, but I'll get into that. But if you want, I definitely give this pay-per-view a 6, and I think I'm being generous giving it a 6. It wasn't the worst pay-per-view of the year. Like I said, it was okay, but some of the stuff was just not good. If you want the match ratings, you can see them up in the descriptions page. But other than that, I got other things I want to talk about when it comes to TNA, because like I said, I watched Man Up 2 nights before I watched this pay-per-view. I watched a pay-per-view that made me feel the exact same way I felt when I first saw ECW's Barely Legal. Just the same way that Calvin A. Hobbs said the exact same thing. When he said that, I was like, he's exactly right. That's exactly how I felt. I was pissed off when I was watching my television set and the pay-per-view went off, because when you watch Ring of Honor pay-per-views, you don't automatically get the replays like you do WWE or TNA pay-per-views. So I couldn't watch it again, and I wanted to watch it again. I wanted to sit there and go, I want to watch this again. I can't wait. I probably won't buy the pay-per-view again, but I can't wait till this comes out on DVD. It was such an amazing show, and I just felt wonderful about the product. And I think it's carried over, because if you go to the Ring of Honor message boards, a lot of the negativity hasn't been there since this pay-per-view aired, which is a pretty good thing, and I think shows that Ring of Honor, you know, put on such a great product that people are believing in the product again. I watched Turning Point, and I saw the same things that we've been seeing for over a year now, almost 2 years now. The faults within TNA since the end of 2005, which the faults started becoming very obvious in TNA, i.e., we started with the first match. The first match was a good match up until the point where they started missing spots, the point where they started doing bad camera angles, and the production values of what is supposed to be the #2 promotion in the United States looked like crap. I cannot understand. I've talked about this at least on 4 pay-per-views, TNA pay-per-views, where they just don't get it. They don't go out there. They need to fire who's ever directing their shows, because you know, they're always missing stuff. They're not using the right camera angles. You know, one few things about them working in the Impact Zone is the fact that they have that overhead shot. Okay, there are numerous spots throughout the night they could have used that overhead shot, and you would have been able to see more of the action. You would have been able to see what was going on, instead of these things where you couldn't see really, you know, what was going on. They did replays which missed spots. It was just really bad. We had, you know, the same company that gave us Jay Lethal and Kurt Angle turned around and gave us Eric Young's match, and which should have been booked the exact same way, and didn't book it the exact same way. So that when the ending came, which they were trying to pull over this big upset, it didn't look like an upset, and the match went for too long. That was a long match. That's what took. It was so long it took me out of it. I was just like, can we please end this? Or it felt long, I should say. The match felt very long. We had a hardcore match for the sake of just having a hardcore match. We had a women's tag match, which I thought the whole thing with the TNA Knockouts is they weren't supposed to be divas. Well, we got a divas match on a TNA pay-per-view. Then we actually got the women's title match, which was actually a good match. You know, I think they could have had a better match. I was kind of disappointed in some of the stuff that Gail Kim was doing, but you know, it was still you know, a decent match, and as good as you know, I would put it up even with the ending. The ending was a wonderfully booked, and I would put it, you know, probably on par with the Backlash Divas match, which I love. I love that match. You know, we got a main event which had a shoot that wasn't a shoot, that was a shoot apparently, because they told Joe to go out there and do a shoot, and put over the fact that Eric Young was going to be in the main event, and then he goes out there, he does that, he then gets in trouble for it because apparently he crossed the line. What line he crossed, I don't know, because he didn't say anything that was completely out of line in my opinion. People say I'm being biased in saying that, but what did he say? What did he say? I understand him apologizing to Kevin Nash if Kevin Nash got him his job, but dear God, this was, I don't get it. I just don't get it, and I didn't get this pay-per-view. The fact that the Feast or Fired match, they announced, oh well, we know some of you may have turned in to see who was going to get fired, but we're not going to announce that until Impact. What type of garbage is that? That's a great way, TNA, you're only getting so many pay-per-view buys a year, or you're only getting so many pay-per-view. Way to tick off those people who actually bought the pay-per-view. Great. That's wonderful. That makes so much sense. It's not even funny. And we got to the main event, and I like Eric Young as much as everybody, but I think everyone will agree that main event was not main event standards. You're telling me that Jeff Jarrett couldn't put on a pair of trunks? I mean, it's Jeff Jarrett, but he could have went out there. You're telling me you couldn't have scratched Tomko from that match, so you would have had Joe and Nash versus Angle and AJ? I mean, come on. There was better ways to do this than put a guy in that match that really didn't belong in that match and have this huge letdown. I mean, I understand it's not their fault that Scott Hall no-showed, but you knew he no-showed for 2 hours before that, before this match, and you still just let it went on like it was, that's the way it went. Then we find out that Joe had to apologize, which for all the people that always ask me why I have the Free Joe thing up, this is why. Because they need to take the shackles off Joe, hand him the title, and let him carry this company. Joe, this is going to tick off a lot of TNA fans, this is going to tick off a lot of Joe fans, but it's the truth. Umaga right now is a bigger star than Joe is, and it has nothing to do with the fact that Umaga's in the WWE. It has the fact that WWE has used Umaga better than TNA has used Joe in the past year, and that's just the way it is. And Joe should, they continually say Joe is the most popular guy, he's their biggest draw. I can guarantee you he's their biggest draw in TNA, and what do we get? This is what we get. So this is why when I say Free Joe, this is what I'm talking about them freeing Joe, about them letting Joe loose, let him carrying this company, if this is the company he wants to be in. Then they come in, they have Terry Taylor come in and say, who wants to go? Whoever wants out can be out. And so Senshi, who won one of the cases, says, I want out. They give him his out, but he has to wrestle to give up the case. Instead of saying, you know what, Senshi, you have the fired case. That would make perfect sense. It would actually make it look like if they ever did this match again, it had relevance. That, oh wow, the last time this happened, a guy actually was fired. The guy actually had to go find another job somewhere. I mean, it's simplicity like this. And yet, here I am, I would love, and Ring of Honor goes out there and puts on this great pay-per-view. And then TNA turns around and does this garbage. And you would think that TNA would have watched this pay-per-view that Ring of Honor put on and went, we have to top that. We have to go out there and we have to put on a good show because people are going to compare the two shows because they're too close together. And they didn't do it. They just laid an egg. Come on. They've got to do better than that. It was announced that TNA had to cancel their Mexico shows. They had to cancel the Israeli shows. They keep doing these things that sound like grand things, and then they never follow through because they have no concept, in my opinion, of how to run a wrestling company. It amazes me they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Folks, this isn't the first time that somebody no-showed their main event. It's not. This has happened before. This used to happen a lot in 2005. This is so just mind-numbingly just amazing to me that this company just keeps doing the same things over and over and over again, and you would think that they would say, you know what, maybe we need to change things. Maybe we do need to do what the diehard internet fans are saying we need to, or at least do more of it, because the company's not growing. It's not growing. This is so just irritating to me. It's not even funny. I'm out. Have a good one.